la noche, ya todo está en calma.
Short essays are long poems. I'm going to read tonight a piece called How Magma Moves and Rises from a current project on geology and weather. How magma moves and rises. Two lithospheric plates once began to diverge, split according to pre-existing planes of weakness, the oldest parts, being most dense, sinking into the mantle and melting it. Magma, being perfect, rose to intrude the gap between plates, accreting to each. Shorn, faulting, a long time ago, still, under plumes and rifts outside of mortal, time untouched, at extreme heat and depth, modeled desperately, compared to something melted and sweet. The mantle tied, not to the moon nor under dim starlight, but in darkness instead, through a space one can hardly call space. Within and beneath, as a river glancing its frozen edges, except more so since its secretions come to no use, its envoys uncaught, though once it was said that humans came from stone, thence deriving their hardness. Above ground, winter works slow its dim miracles of indifference. Pine trees and the sorrows of a cursed and still gambiting lot, conflating weather with metaphysical experience more than likely. On occasion, one's heart distended a certain kind of knowledge, let us say, senses a chasm of partial liquid, wants to dig into it, make a sure place there, on its hilarious and pure aphasia. Do not speak of such things. While the study of it has historically relied on observing magma in the form of lava outflows, magma has been encountered 3 times during drilling projects. Consequenceless and futurine, flashing past and impossible past, severed, tree-like in its lack of distinction without foliage from the next. How could one begin? To make proper measurements, the buoyancy or thickness, its chambered, its lensed, if it ever breaks surface at all, how is one to know if it be into air or water? It is well known that below the surface of the planet flow huge streams of magma. The circulation and direction of their flow in turn is thought to relate to the wandering magnetic pole. Once, in an imagined world of just revenge, certain people were cast away in such magmatic pits, lost in tectonic accidents, melted in plumes of perfect fire, broke down into their components. The work of Bowen, a petrologist, explains why certain types of minerals tend to be found together, while others are almost never associated with one another. One can now infer from the minerals present in a rock the relative conditions under which the material had formed. For this reason, one numbers those with power on a single hand, counting oneself among the second tier, the brusqued and gathered into smaller circumferences, fields of influence. One wonders, from the imperfect depths of an all too brief hour of rest, or a relative calm, what the fuck it could all have been for. Such that even the simplest goings forth, well, the question occasionally lifts itself. Magma, the drugs that remain after a semi-liquid substance has been pressed or evaporated, obsolete, by another distillation reduce the magma at bottom to the consistency of honey. A day descends in perfect circles. Earth's layers modeled like that, night measured in stages, as in certain pieces of music. The quiet, too accurate ticking of hot water. These meager recordings of a nest downstairs in the dead of January. A perfect rose so illustratively present, distraction, pinches, putting, what do they say, a brave face on it. Blooded shoals those, flesh and snow crossed with delicate bird prints. I'm just going to read another very short piece called Against Spring from an old collection of postcards. Against Spring. There was this image of their house upon the flood, and of the water roiling without song, cicadas reeling through dim air, It was not a dream, nor was it a vision, but beyond the confusion there hung a sense that no end could come to it, as no end could come to a thing without shape, and there was no one lost, or no one what would count the lost among their number. Know then, though how charmed they huddled, bled, then bent down under successive days, how those who loved to speak, their every breath sharpened, and the elsewise clung in the gut tight as a limpet, and as irrelevant, piping out its infuriatingly quiet music, not insistent, but somehow alive. Though she coaxed and courted the hardness and fire characteristic of those who do not glance behind, she remained the same, studying the one she loved for signs of that which she felt girding her shoulders, but finding only the smell of wet wood.